Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Sacred Sisterhood podcast, the first episode of 2020. Happy New Year, all of my loves, and I hope you had a beautiful Christmas and solstice season. I've definitely been in my own energy the last, pretty much since the 12/12 portal, just really playing around with these frequencies that have been downloading and just finding my own stillness and peace as Earth slowed down, as, just to really receive what this past year meant for me, what this past year blessed me with, to receive the light codes that were streaming down, to receive the template that was being installed. I think we all really felt a lot this past month between the 12/12 portal. We had solstice, we had an eclipse on the 26th, and the divine masculine codes were activating as Christ consciousness was fully flooding the earth. There's been a lot of crazy funky things happening in the collective that many of you are feeling, myself included. And we have a full moon in Cancer coming up along with an eclipse on Friday. Today is Tuesday. So we're all feeling a lot of stuff. I've been very deep in the underworld on and off myself, just doing a lot of clearing, and it's been a bit intense, but at the same time, beautiful. There's good days and there's bad days, and the good days are blissful and euphoric and like, whoa, this feels so weird and out of this world. And then the harder days, I feel blue, and I just be with myself through that time. And that's my invitation for you too, is, when you are having those funky energy days, to just, hydrate, really take care of yourself, sit with your crystals, meditate, love yourself, hold yourself, and just be really compassionate with where you are, trusting that this is part of the process, and you have to feel it to clear it. I always say it, you have to feel it to clear it. So today I wanted to talk about the sisterhood wound. And what the sisterhood wound is, this distrust, whether you're conscious of it or not, that we as women hold towards other women, towards sisters. And this doesn't just stem on, from the playground when, you just wanted to be in the cool girls group and you just wanted to be accepted by everyone. This stems back into like the witch trial days and there was a lot of betrayal and throwing each other into the fire to protect oneself, a lot of like martyrdom sort of energies, where, for example, in order for a woman to save or protect herself, she had to hand over maybe her best friend or her sister or someone in her community, a healer in her community. And I mean, that didn't always guarantee her survival either. Like sometimes then she ended up getting hurt or killed as well. So there was a lot of like deep distrust that began in that time, as well as moving out of the witch trial days. It just wasn't safe for women to gather in community because, the patriarchal system would say that, oh, they're gathering together to do witchcraft. And so it wasn't safe for women to be in community, even though within the community of sisters, that's where there's deep, deep, profound healing that happens. So moving forward, when you start to get into the 1900s, when women are trying to get into the workforce, etc., say there was an office filled on Wall Street filled with 50 men in like the 50s, for example, and 2 women. You bet your ass that those women were like pegged against each other in massive competition to be the best one, to try to prove their worth and prove that they can work just as hard, if not harder than men, and so forth. And I mean, these energies continue on. So I mean, when we look at like the playground, of course, there's, the bullying that happens. Maybe a girl that you admired that was a lot older than you. You always kind of like, when you were little, you always had like that older girl that you think was so cool, right? Maybe she made fun of your shoes and you just really like internalized that and really based your worth off of what this girl had said. And then, moving into preteen, teenage years, oh my God, that's such a painful time. Am I right? I just remember like that awkward stage, and just comparison of like, whose boobs are bigger than others, and, you know, like, my boobs aren't big enough, or like, oh, she got her period before me. It just, like, there's just so much insecurities that happen in that time. And then, of course, you have your, like, your cool girls, the mean girls group that are always put together and, you know, like, are dating the hottest guy in school, and so there's that comparison there, and you just want to be like them, when reality is that they're really mean. So, I mean, there's just, like, such distrust and kind of, like, just girls being pinned against each other, you know. And I mean, not to mention what's happening in the media with the models and the airbrushing and the photo editing. There's just so much comparison to make us feel less than. And we carry that forward into our adulthood until we really, like, dive into what the sisterhood wound means. And then when you think about, too, like, the bar scene, you know, you just turn 18. Well, in Canada, 18 is when you're legally able to go to the bar. And maybe there's this girl dirty dancing on the guy that you like, or maybe your boyfriend cheated on you with a friend. You know, that's something that happened with me with my first boyfriend. Every girl that I would bring home that was, like, who I thought was a friend would end up sleeping with my boyfriend. I mean, yeah, anyways, I think we all have stories like that, sadly. And then going up into, like, moving out of the party scene, out of that kind of comparison, there's, like, all the mom comparison, you know, like, I mean, I'm not a mom, so I don't know this firsthand, but you drop your kid off at school, and then there's, like, all this comparison with whose car is better, whose kid is dressed better, who makes the best, healthiest, gluten-free, vegan lunches for their kids, and who brings the best snacks, and all of that, like, crazy stuff. And then, like, in the, you know, within, like, sports as well, you know, the sports moms, there's all sorts of funky, like, mom comparison and energies happening. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And so as women, like, it's so normal, unless if we start to really do a lot of self-work, to gossip about one another, to cut each other down, to judge one another, etc. And it's just normalized. And until we actually begin to dive into that and dive into clearing and healing that, it's going to continue to play out in our life, which is going to, like, attract friendships into our lives that are maybe toxic, or just experiences with other women that are very painful and triggering and so forth. Or maybe you're holding very deeply onto the sisterhood wound because you've experienced a significant betrayal and loss by someone that you loved and trusted for, you know, like a friendship breakup, a long-term friendship breakup, you know. So, for example, I've talked pretty openly about it on this podcast. I had a best friend of 23 years that was supposed to be my maid of honor, and after I moved across the world, she couldn't deal. And I mean, there was a lot of factors that played into that, but it tore us apart. She pulled out of my wedding, didn't give me a proper reason, and I felt very betrayed for a very long time. And I definitely, this past year of releasing that and forgiving and, you know, finding that place of acceptance and love, I've really witnessed my process and witnessed myself resisting allowing other women to get close to me because I've armored myself, right? And so I believe that perhaps I have not established a more thriving community for myself here in Salzburg, because it was a year and a half ago that I moved from Canada to Austria to be with my now husband, is because I've been deflecting the opportunity to attract, like, more than one or two soul sister relationships into my life, because I've been holding on to this sisterhood wound due to this betrayal that I experienced at the end of 2018, right? So let's get back into even, like, think about at your job. If you work in the office, you know, there's always sort of like competition between women, and it seems to be more between women than men and women, right? And if you think like, oh, well, I have really great relationships with girls, with women, like, I don't think I'm holding on to this wound. What about, like, do you catch yourself comparing yourself to other women? Like maybe catching yourself feeling inadequate to other women or feeling superior to other women. Because if there's like a sense of inadequacy, there's also a sense of superiority, right? So this is an invitation for us to really dive in, to begin to clear this within our own lives, to clear that for our ancestors and to clear it within the collective, as well as so that we're not passing these funky like sisterhood wounding where we're all just cutting each other down, etc., down to our daughters. And we can begin to create a new way of sisterhood that is normal, not out there for young girls, for teenagers, right? Because in New Earth, I want to see sisters coming together. I want to see men and women coming together. I want to see union consciousness, right? And so in order to get to that place, we really have to clear those funky energies, those distortions that are keeping the comparison, the toxicity, etc. alive. And there is such profound healing that happens within sisterhood, that happens within a community of women, because there has been such funky, distorted energies and distrust between women for so long that when we immerse ourselves into a community or into a beautiful soulmate friendship with another woman and allow ourselves to be fully open, fully vulnerable, allow ourselves to be seen, allow ourselves to be heard, and also in return hold that same space for other women, for the rest of the community, that is where really, really deep healing happens. Because, I mean, if we're doing our own inner work, and say there's like a body wounding image that you're, like the body image that you're really, really struggling with, you can't fully heal that on your own. You know, when you actually start to open up and share with your sisters that you're struggling with this body image issue, or you've been working on clearing this and so forth, you're allowing yourself to be seen, and you're allowing yourself to let go of the shame around it, which is basically like signaling to the universe, like, I'm ready to let go of this energetic charge because it no longer holds power over me. And by allowing my sisters to hold space for my process and to hear me and see me and fully hold me in it, I am allowing this to let go. I'm releasing it. I'm no longer giving it my power, right? So something that you can start to do with like really looking into if you're holding on to the sisterhood wound, which if you haven't done clearing around it, you are, because it's in your DNA, it's in our collective conditioning, is to like just pay attention if you catch yourself in the comparison mode, if you catch yourself judging, if you catch yourself like really resisting allowing a sister in, really like maybe you are inconsistent with you know, answering texts or making plans, you're flaking out, or maybe you continue to attract relationships or friendships where the person is flaky, where the person isn't reliable, where you don't feel like you can fully depend on this person to hold space for you, etc. Because what we want to be doing is calling in those soul sister relationships, or that community where we feel 100% safe to be held, to be vulnerable, to heal together, because it's so powerful when you share something very open and vulnerable about yourself, and then another sister says, yes, me too. I know exactly where you are. I know exactly where you've been. I know exactly how you feel. And she kind of like validates you in that moment, that it's like, it's okay for you to be feeling messy right now, or it's okay for you to be feeling this way, because we have such different conversations with sisters than we do brothers, right? And that is because when wombs come together, when women's hearts come together, like, we are all healers. We all hold so much medicine that when we come together, there's profound healing, there's collective healing. And when we combine that together, it just ripples through the matrix, right? And also, if you're like me, who are calling in more soul sister relationships into your life, the first step is to be your own best friend. Because if you can't be your own best friend, you're going to have a really hard time calling in those really clean, pure relationships into your life. if you abandon yourself, if you don't hold space for yourself, if you, if you are really having a really hard day and you just end up numbing out rather than actually sitting with yourself and allowing yourself to cry, giving yourself space to process, you're not valuing yourself enough to be that for yourself. So how can you expect yourself that with the energy, like the vibrational imprint that you're holding, to attract a friendship into your life that can reflect those qualities that you're desiring of someone fully holding space for you, someone that will be fully vulnerable with you, someone that will fully witness you, someone that will fully hear you, someone that you enjoy holding space for, that you enjoy spending time with. It's someone that will help you grow, that you grow together, etc. Right? So those are like kind of my top 3 tips for helping you to like maneuver through the sisterhood wound is being your own best friend, checking yourself when you catch yourself judging, comparing, catching yourself when you notice that there's like this inadequacy or superiority, and really like celebrating each other. Like rather than, oh no, she's doing what I want to do and so I can't be happy for her energy, celebrating her, because the more of us that get behind that woman, celebrating her and her rising, we see that as a possibility for ourselves, and that energy just builds and expands, right? If you are catching yourself feeling jealous because that woman is traveling and she's got her dream man and she's got her dream career and she's doing so great and she's so happy, if you catch yourself being jealous, you are dismissing your ability to create that for yourself because you don't see it as a possible reality for yourself, rather than seeing like, oh, I'm so happy for her and getting really excited for her excitement and really like building into that, because the more we get behind each other, the more we expand. And the more like we expand as a collective, we expand as a sisterhood, we expand as a community, we expand within ourselves. So when you think about it, like if you have a best friend and she just got a promotion and you've been waiting for that promotion for a really long time in your own job, and if you can't find it in you to be happy and celebrate with her without any sort of like, oh shit, like when am I going to get my promotion? You're discrediting your ability to create that for yourself, and you're blocking that for coming into your experience. So that's an invitation for you to look at, okay, that distortion is probably coming from the sisterhood wound, as well as like that inadequacy wound of like thinking I'm not good enough and that I can't create that for myself, etc. Right? So there is so much healing that can happen within sisters, because sisters are a mirror, right? Like if you are feeling triggered by a sister, by another woman, that's an invitation for you to look into your own energies as to why. Why is this bothering me? Why is this upsetting me? Why am I so charged around this situation? It's not about her. I know it's about me. So that's an invitation for you to go in and clear something out, right? So I am going to leave it at that, because I feel like I've covered everything that I wanted to talk about. Let me just look through my notes. Yes, it is safe for you to be open and vulnerable and to welcome those soul sister relationships in. Even though you've been hurt in the past, and I'm saying this for myself as well, as like the queen of armoring myself this past year after this crazy friendship breakup, it is safe for you to open your heart, because you are a very different person today than the person that attracted those friendships that hurt you so badly in the past. Right? And with each person comes a lesson, comes growth, comes opportunity. And even if we do attract someone into our life that might be toxic, you're going to be able to maneuver through it much quicker and set up your boundaries to protect yourself and bless and release and learn the lessons that need to be learned from that experience, than allowing it to completely spiral into like some weird codependency, whatever sort of pattern that you maybe would have played out a few years ago. Right? So I'm wishing you all the most beautiful 2020, and I hope you already have beautiful, thriving sisters, relationships with sisters, or beautiful women's group that you're a part of. And if you're not, I hope that your soul sister best friend is on her way to you, that you will meet her shortly for beautiful healing experiences and wine dates and walks in the woods together and just that incredible sisterhood connection, because I'm wishing that for myself as well. So I'm sending you all so much love. Thank you so much for watching it. And if you have a friend that maybe is going through a friendship breakup right now, share this with her. Share this with her. This is such valuable information of really getting into where are these insecurities and these inadequacies and these like funky energies really coming from. Is it mine? Is it the collectives? Is it the ancestral? And what can I do to begin to shift that? Okay, we're all equals. We're all here to rise together, to all step into our queendoms, to all be in our sovereign power and create amazing, blissful, thriving, abundant lives, because we all get to have that. There's more than enough to go around. Sending you so much love. Have a great, great week. Bye for now.